Hi, I'm Linda. I'm from Yale School of Nursing, and I'm here to teach you a little bit about the human body. We call this program Have Bones Will Travel. Almost everything that I show you today will be real. If it's not real, I'm going to tell you it's not real. The intent of this is to help you learn a little bit and make some healthy decisions based on knowledge. We're going to begin with the lungs. It's important to know that the lungs are housed inside a bony cage. You know that. You can feel them. These are your ribs. Real lungs. So when you look at these lungs, you have to think about what's the purpose of the lungs? Why do we have them? Yeah, to help you breathe. But to help you breathe what? What are we taking in? Air. What's in the air? Oxygen is what we need. And everybody thinks that the room is filled with 100% oxygen. The truth is there's only 21% oxygen in this room. 21% oxygen is what we need to breathe in. So we're going to take in the oxygen, and then what happens? How do we take it in? Through our nostrils and our mouth, right? So you take a deep breath in, and you blow it out. Now, if you look inside your nose, what do you have inside your nose besides boogers? Which is just mere hair, right? You have hair inside your nose. Why were you made with hair inside your nose? Why do you think? Why were you? I mean, because there's generally a purpose for everything. Why were you made with hair in your nose?
To prevent certain things from coming in.
Right, to prevent things from coming in. It's your vacuum cleaner. So you have these hairs that will stop dirt from coming in. This is a picture from deep inside the lung. And what almost no one knows from deep inside the lung is every inch inside your lung has 100 hairs. 100 hairs that are constantly moving. They're in motion and they're cleaning, because if any dirt got by this part, the hairs in here, you still have all these hairs that will catch the dirt. You see this? This is mucus inside. So this is the wetness that is inside your body. The dirt would catch on this, and then you can see in this picture, you can actually see the cough coming up. Can you see that the person is coughing? The airway opens, and up the dirt comes, and now you are coughing, and your cough is coming out at about 60 miles an hour. Yeah, 60 miles an hour. Sneeze about 110. That's why it's really important during flu season that if you're going to cough or you're going to sneeze, do it into your shirt to protect the people that are drinking water 110 miles away, on which that is going to be blowing out. Okay, so inside your lungs, you have those hairs that are constantly moving, right? Cleaning. So now you took a breath in. As you took a breath in, what happened to my chest? Did it get smaller or did it get bigger? It expanded, right? You have this big muscle here called the diaphragm. And that big muscle pulled down. And when it pulled down, it made your lungs longer. And your ribs, what did they do? Did they go in or did they go out? On inhalation, they pulled out. And that made the lungs wider. So wider and longer, the oxygen rushes down into my lungs because it's less than atmospheric air. So in other words, if I'm not breathing right now, do you get there's no air moving in? But when I inhale, I am sucking the oxygen in to my lungs. To where? Where's it going? It's coming in through my nose. It's going down through this. So put your hand right here. This is your trachea. This is your windpipe. Can you feel there's little ridges on that? That's cartilage. That's keeping your trachea open. If you didn't have that cartilage and I did this, what would I do to the rubber tube? Close it down. So you were made miraculously to always keep all systems in place. Well, I always need to get air in. So regardless of what position I put my head in, that cartilage is going to hold that open. So the air came in, find the hole on the top of your neck, bring your finger down. Do you feel there's a little bump right there? This is where remember, this bone, the manubrium, met the body of the sternum. That bump right there is where your trachea splits into right and left main stem. So we have a right lung and we have a left lung, okay? And inside each lung are 300 million balloons. They're called alveoli, fancy name for them, but those balloons are waiting to get the air and open up. And for each one of those balloons, we have a very tiny blood vessel, so tiny that one red blood cell marches through. So now take a breath in. The alveolars are completely expanded. Oxygen's in them. Oxygen just diffuses over through that little alveoli or balloon, capillary level. Oxygen goes in and something jumps off. What jumps off? Carbon dioxide. So when I teach my students about oxygen, I teach it like a Hershey's Kiss. I say to them, I want you to think that oxygen is a Hershey's Kiss. When I give you oxygen and you eat the Hershey's Kiss, you have a wrapper left there to show you ate the Hershey's Kiss. That wrapper is carbon dioxide. So when you exhale and it's wintertime here, what do you see going out? Carbon dioxide. So you take oxygen in, it has to get to every part of your body. That's what you run on. As I was driving here this morning, my red light went on the car. It means what? I'm out of gas, right? Could I put my coffee cup into my car? No, I got to put gas in it. Your gas that makes you run is oxygen. And you need to know that oxygen is in the room, but the only way it gets is carried on the red blood cell. It's the only way it gets down to your toes. Only 2% of oxygen can float in bloodstream. 98% has got to be attached to a red blood cell. And that red blood cell is going to that balloon, grabbing the oxygen, throwing off the CO2, and off it goes down to your toes. Okay? So now I'm going to show you what lungs look like. So when you come up and feel this, because I'm going to want you to, I want you to feel first the trachea. So this is the trachea, and I want you to feel the rings on it. Right where I told you, the sternum meets the manubrium is where the lung splits. Can you see how it splits? Into right and left. So we're going to have a right lung and a left lung. These lungs are completely deflated. I'm going to pump them up in a minute, and it is going to be like a newborn baby who takes their very first breath. So when you see them, you're going to be amazed how large they get. So I'm going to start pumping now, and you're going to see them start to rise. And when you see them, can you see that there's an upper lobe now? Can you see that? Upper. Can you see there's a middle? You see that? A middle lobe. And there's a lower lobe. So these are your lungs filled with oxygen as I'm pumping out. Got that? So upper lobe, middle lobe, lower lobe. This is a normal lung. Now this is a 20-year smoker. So what happened? What's the difference between this one and this one? Okay, so why are they black? Why would these lungs get black? Right, because every cigarette you smoke puts those hairs to sleep for 1 hour. 1 hour. So during that period of time, the lungs are not cleaning. Remember the 100 hairs that I told you are constantly moving to wave the dirt up? They're not working. So as a result, that stays in there. But now if you know a smoker, how do they wake up in the morning? Coughing. That's a good sign. Why is it a good sign? It shows the hairs are awake, they're working, and they're doing their job, which is to clean out the lungs. So what we know is that if you stop smoking, in 10 years, we can take a smoker's lung back to a non-smoker's lung. We would still have black, but the truth is, you'd have black on these anyway because of pollution. Okay? So I'd like you to come up and feel what the lungs feel like so that you can actually squeeze it. So you have to put on gloves, and the reason you have to put on gloves is to protect the lungs. You could actually touch it, but then you'd ruin them. So come on up and feel the lungs. You guys come up and feel them. They can cut it out.
So why does that one not have black on it at all?
This one at all. So these are lungs that were harvested. So these lungs have never been polluted. These lungs, 10-year smoke was blown into them to demonstrate. Yeah, I have different size gloves too. Oh, come on. Try this one. Just feel it. They feel like a Nerf football, I think. Or what a Tempur-Pedic bed would, I think, feel like if I ever had one.
This is so...
Isn't it cool? Now feel those. So these feel weaker. Oh, come on. Sweet. Aren't they cool?
Yeah.
Yeah, they really are. Feel like how spongy. Because you're feeling the 300 balloons blowing up. You can feel inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. So what you've learned so far is that I hope that your lungs are housed in a bony cage. And that bony cage is your ribs. And your lungs are really important because they're the organs that are bringing oxygen to every part of your body. What I have now on my model is an oxygen machine. And this oxygen machine is saying right now, it's looking through his fingernail and it's telling me that one red blood cell that he has is 98% filled with oxygen. And it's telling me that his heart rate is about 110. So now I want to just do a little demonstration to show what happens. So I'm going to have you try to hold it in place and I want you to run in place.
Okay.
Right now. So he's going to start to run, like really run. Right, that's it. He's really running in place. And now we're going to look at his finger and see what happens. So what happens is his heart rate is now up to 145 and his oxygen level jumps up. And the reason is initially it dropped down because he was using more oxygen to run. When he was sitting in place, standing here next to me, he had 97% oxygen. But when I made him run really quickly, that dropped the oxygen down because he was using it more. Does that make sense? So what would the body have to do to make that oxygen level come up again? It would have to increase the heart rate. And what happened to his breathing? Do you notice how? What happened? It's much faster because as the heart rate pumps around faster, his lungs had to get more oxygen in. So as your heart rate goes up, your respiratory rate naturally goes up. And as a result, his oxygen level stays 98% and his heart rate went up to 140 something. And now that we're not doing anything, look how you're dropping back down again. So his heart rate drops back down again. So it's to show how everything is connected. If there's not enough oxygen in your body, your lungs are going to say, hey, I need to get more oxygen all over. How could I do that? Your heart says, I know the way. Let me pump what you have around quicker. And when you pump what you have around quicker, your lungs have to compensate by saying, okay, I'll breathe faster. That's the corollary. Heart and lungs go together to maintain that your oxygen level is always going to be perfect. Okay? All right, thanks. Okay, so hopefully you learned that the lungs are really important. They're important organs that you need to protect because they're the only organs that can get oxygen to your toes. Without oxygen getting to your toes, to the tip of your nose, to the top of your ears, that part does not have oxygen and will die. You know these are the only set you've got. You don't have another spare, like another pair of sneakers you can put on. These are your lungs. So these can change to these with smoking because the hairs go to sleep and they don't clean. The good news, the body will always try to repair itself, but makes more sense not to test it and simply protect it. Okay?